channel. I'm Rachel, the owner and creator here at the Eclectic Cottage in Spokane, Washington. Happy Thursday, everyone. For today's video, I have some more Christmas thrift flips for you. Today's theme is dark neutrals, and so everything is painted in a darker color. However, I really didn't want to use any black, so varying shades of brownish gray. So I love the way that they all kind of work together. I think they all turned out really great. I can't wait to show them to you, and without further ado, let's get to today's projects. For my first project, I really wanted to use one of the new A4 decoupage papers by Redesign with Prima. So I pulled this old wooden frame out of my stash. It's been around for years and it was very dusty. So I went ahead and gave it a bath, starting with some crud cutter and then following that up with some clean water just to make sure I didn't have any residue from the crud cutter left behind. Once my frame was clean and dry, it was time to start painting. For this project, since my theme is dark neutrals, I decided to go with DIY's color called Weathered Wood, which is this beautiful kind of grayish brown color. I am going over the entire frame with 2 good coats of the paint. And on my second coat, since this paint tends to be a tad thick, I used a water mister bottle to lightly spray my piece before applying the second coat, just to help thin my paint a tad and make it move around a little bit better. This also helps alleviate some of the brushstroke marks in the dry paint. For this project, I did decide to go in and do some distressing. I wanted some of that beautiful gold color underneath to shine up through the weathered wood paint. For my distressing, I am just taking a damp shop towel and rubbing over the paint to remove it anywhere that I want to see that gold. This is a pretty easy technique, and it's one of the great things about the DIY paint is that it is easy to wet distress. Once I was happy with my distressing, I let my frame dry completely, and then it was time to go in and seal my paint. Since DIY paint is clay-based and porous when it's dry, it definitely needs to be sealed, and my go-to sealer is almost always wax. For this particular piece, I am not using a buffer coat of clear wax. I'm going directly over the weathered wood paint with DIY's dark wax. I'm applying that with a small, soft bristled brush and then just gently wiping back the excess with a dry shop towel. I chose dark wax for this project because I really wanted my paint to lean more to the brown side because I felt that it would match better with the image that I had chosen for inside the frame. And this is the image that I chose. This decoupage paper is called Plaid and Pine. It's one of the new A4 size decoupage papers by Redesign with Prima. I am starting the process by steaming out the wrinkles. They always have wrinkles, you guys, and it's important that you get rid of them before you start your project. I separated the images on the decoupage paper, and then I used the backer out of the frame to cut a piece of watercolor paper so that I could adhere my decoupage paper to it. I wanted a nice white background for the decoupage paper and also something to keep it from sliding around since there isn't any glass in this frame. So I'm just using some DIY clear liquid patina in a thin coat. Then I am putting my decoupage paper down over that and going over it with another coat of the liquid patina. I did go ahead and glue this down to the backing that was in the frame originally, just using some spray adhesive to give it a little bit more strength. Then it was just a matter of adding some pins to hold everything into place. And once I was finished with that, I did add a hanger to the back of my frame, and then this project was finished. In the end, I think the weathered wood was a perfect choice to go with the picture in this frame. I absolutely love how it came together, and I hope you guys do too. My second project is this cute little penguin statue that I picked up recently at Goodwill. It had some cosmetic issues. There was a stain on one of its legs that I couldn't get rid of, and just some chips in the paint and some scratches. It just was looking a little shabby, so I decided to give him a makeover. Now, when I first started this project, the white paint made sense. I started by giving this little penguin a coat of Rustoleum 2X spray paint in flat white. And then I decided to go a completely different direction with this project. And I am going over that white spray paint with 2 coats of DIY's color called Layered Chocolate. At this point, I'm realizing I probably should have spray painted him brown. By this point, though, I was committed, so I am just going with it. Once I had 2 layers of the layered chocolate paint on this little penguin and everything was completely dry, it was time to seal my paint. I felt like this is where the magic was going to start to happen, and I got a little overzealous and I went right over the layered chocolate paint with white wax. I did not like how that looked. It looked too cakey, I guess is the word. So I went back over that with some clear wax to lighten everything up again. And I liked that look much better. So for the rest of my little penguin, I did clear wax first and then followed that up with the white wax. That clear wax buffer really helped make everything look a little bit lighter and brighter and less cakey, I guess is the word we're going with for today. I decided right after I started this project to ditch my large brush and just use this smaller one. And I'm using the same brush to apply both the clear and the white wax. And I'm not cleaning it quite perfectly between coats. So you can see a little bit of the white wax in with this clear wax as I'm putting that on and wiping it back. But then I'm going back over it with a pretty good coat of the white wax, and then again just gently, lightly wiping back the excess. And I just worked my way around the little penguin in small sections, adding some clear wax, wiping it back, and then adding the white wax over it, and then again wiping it back. Now, as I was working my way around my penguin, adding the wax and wiping it back, I realized I was also unintentionally doing a little bit of distressing, which in most cases is not a big deal. However, in this case, I had initially painted this poor thing white, and so that white was glaring through the layered chocolate paint, and I really was not happy with how it was looking. To fix this little issue, I decided to add a little bit of glam to my penguin statue with some Decor wax by Redesign with Prima. This color is called Eternal. It's a beautiful kind of antique-y gold, and I am just tapping my finger gently into that wax and then going over all of the edges and some of the details in my little penguin to cover up any of that glaring white white and also just add a touch of glam and a bit of Christmas to my penguin. I also added just a touch to the flat areas as well, just to kind of tie everything together. The only area I got a little carried away was around his eyes, which I did go back in and fix. But I absolutely love the little bit of shimmer that I added to this penguin. I think he's adorable, and I hope you guys like him too. My third and final project for today is this little wooden sleigh that I've had in my stash for quite some time. And for this one, I'm going in with a couple coats of DIY's Prairie Gray. This will definitely be the lightest of my dark neutrals for today's video. I think Prairie Gray is a beautiful neutral. It's not quite gray and it's not really brown either, but it goes with just about anything. I'm only painting the base of the sleigh because I am going to be decoupaging the top. And again, for my second coat, I'm using a little bit of water to help thin my paint out a touch and make it move around a little bit easier. Once my paint was completely dry, I took some 220 grit sandpaper and I went around the edge of the top just to clean it up a little bit. And then I also used that same sandpaper to smooth out the paint along the sled and do a little bit of distressing at the same time. Once I was finished with that, I took a damp shop towel and just cleaned up everything really, really well. And I did just a little bit more distressing. Since I'm going to be decoupaging the top of this sleigh, I am going over the wood with a couple coats of DIY's Cottage color called White Linen. It's always a good idea to have a light, bright color underneath your decoupage paper just to make the images really stand out. For my decoupage paper, I am using this beautiful newer one by Roycycled Treasures. It's called Christmas Wallpaper, and I am using the plaid side, which has a color in it that is very similar to the Prairie Gray. Now, as you saw there, I started by putting a thin coat of liquid patina by DIY over the top of the sleigh. Then I placed my paper down, I spritzed it with a little bit of water, and now I'm going over it with another coat of the DIY's clear liquid patina. Once I had that first top portion adhered, I just worked my way down the rest of the board. I added a little bit more liquid patina to a section, laid the paper down, and then used my brush and another coat of liquid patina to smooth everything out. Once I had my little sleigh completely decoupaged, I set it aside to dry before I went back in with some sandpaper and very gently and kind of a downward sweeping motion, I sanded off the excess paper. Now when I was painting the white linen on, I had gotten just a little bit over some of the edges. So I cleaned that up using some 220 grit sandpaper before I moved on. Once I had the base of my sleigh pretty much together, it was time to decorate it. And I knew I wanted to put the word Merry down the sleigh using Redesign with Prima's stamp set called Alpha. I was trying to use this piece of backer board, but I could not get the letters to stick very well. So once I had stamped up the M and the R, I decided still that the R was too risky, so I took it off and I started stamping letters one by one. And for my ink, I'm using Stazon permanent ink in black. I have to tell you guys a funny story really quick. After I stamped this, I actually set it aside because I really didn't know what I wanted to finish it with. And it's been sitting in my storage for about 3 weeks now. I pulled it out to finish it up for today's video and realized as I was doing these voiceovers that I never sealed the bottom of the sleigh. So just know that I did go back in and seal the Prairie Gray paint with liquid patina by DIY. Now, as you can see here, I finally did come up with a plan for the top of the sleigh. I had these cute little rusty jingle bells in my stash, so I attached some velvet ribbon to them and then glued them onto the center of the sleigh. And then I took apart a piece of greenery I had gotten a while back. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby, and I just put some pieces of that around the sides to kind of frame in the bells. I also used some pine cone stems from that same pick that I had bought. And I just kept layering on the greenery until I was happy with how everything looked. As a last step, I tied some more of that velvet ribbon in a little knot and I attached that to the very center, and then I left the little sides kind of trailing down through the greenery on each side. Once I was finished with the top, the bottom needed just a little something. So I went through my stash again and I found these two castings that I had made some time ago. I added a little bit more of the Eternal Decor wax to them and then glued them onto the base of my sleigh. This little wooden sleigh ended up being a bit of a challenge for me, but in the end, I am very happy with how everything came together, especially now that the paint is actually sealed. I hope you guys like it too. Today, you guys. I hope you liked my projects and I hope you enjoyed today's video. What did you think of my dark neutrals theme for today's video? I hope you liked it. If you did enjoy today's video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. I so appreciate that. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, and then of course just hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. And then don't forget to drop a comment below and let me know what you thought of today's projects. Just a quick reminder too, the paint and products you see me use can be purchased through me at my website, and that's www.theeclecticcottagespokane.com. It's listed below in the description box. I carry the DIY paint and products as well as Sweet Pickins milk paint and products, Roycycled Treasures decoupage papers, and of course some Redesign with Prima. And while we're talking about products, the color of the month for Sweet Pickins, there's actually two this month. That's Artichoke and Cherry Pie. sky. So a really pretty green and a really pretty red. They are both 35% off on my website, which I have now fixed, you guys. For whatever reason, when I entered November and December sale colors, I entered the year 2026. So butter never showed up as being on sale this past month because it was on sale in 2026 in the future, and I had to fix the 2 colors for this month as well. So, but they are good to go now. I have a few more coming in, so if you do go to order and they're out of stock, just know I've already got some more coming. So check those out. And let's see, for Sunday's video will be another couple thrift flips. I'm not doing necessarily a theme for those, but I have a couple that are already finished and one kind of on the way. So hopefully I can get all my video edited and everything ready for you guys by Sunday. So join me back here for that then. Until then, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week and beginning of the weekend. Thank you guys so much for being here. I always appreciate it, and I will see you back here on Sunday. Bye.